of what we're talking about here. Things like, unfortunately, my condolences are out of network. Prior authorization is required for thoughts and prayers. I can't even pretend to care. I hope he's looking up at us. When you make millions off the suffering of others, don't expect sympathy. This needs to be the new norm. Eat the rich. I've seen dying patients get denied by insurance. Makes me physically sick. I just can't feel sympathy for him because of all those patients and their families.
Yeah.
I think the thing I struggle with here is people are viscerally angry about insurance. And you can pull up the statistics. Percentage of people in the Gallup poll, quality of health care coverage is excellent or good, 28%. Had any problem with their insurance in the last year? 58% said they did. Insurance didn't cover or required a very high copay for a prescribed drug that people had to take. Significant portion of people. The denial claims with the company that this CEO ran, high.
Well, a lot of this is about grievance, right?
Right.
We have a healthcare system that many people say is broken, an insurance system that many people feel that they're being ripped off. So I think a lot of what we're seeing here is a pure psychological projection against this CEO who is now deceased. And in many ways, we're talking about not just grievance, but people feeling disaffected, disillusioned, angry, not just with the insurance companies, but this is about a class war, a culture war, people feeling now they are justified in expressing a lot of their anger and rage.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the shocking assassination of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard about this story in which the healthcare CEO was assassinated in the middle of Manhattan a few days ago by what appeared to be a very professional assassination attempt. And there are hints and clues that this had to do with the fact that people are upset, and justifiably so, in a lot of cases, with our healthcare system, okay? The scam that is the American healthcare system. Now, to be clear, I do not condone any acts of violence in response to people's rage and things like that. Obviously, that's not the case. However, you do have some people online who are just flat out celebrating violence. But I'm not going to sit here and tell people, hey, it's not okay to be upset with these health insurance companies, right? Because healthcare in this country is a scam, right? And, I've had my own healthcare experiences dealing with these insurance companies, specifically UnitedHealthcare, and I'm going to talk about it here in this video. So I get it, right? I understand why people are demanding change, right? They're demanding that there be some change to the system to make it fair to the people, right? Because people have seen their loved ones die because they've been denied coverage, and that these health insurance companies go out of their way to try to line their pockets and to make sure that they don't cover people's healthcare needs, even though you have people paying into the system every single month, okay, paying these sky-high premiums for years and years and years and years and years, and, in some cases, never having to really use the health insurance. And then all of a sudden, when they have something happen that costs a whole lot of money, right, the healthcare companies don't want to pay out, right? They say, oh, well, we don't really want to cover all this stuff. You didn't meet your deductible, right? And it's like, okay, well, I've been paying $200, $300, $400, $500 a month into this for years, and now all of a sudden I get hit with a $7,000, $8,000 bill, and you don't want to cover it. But again, you've made tens of thousands of dollars off of me over the years, and I think people are just pissed off about it, right? I think people are justifiably upset with the way that the current healthcare system is functioning.
A game of pickleball can leave Wesley William Parker out of breath, but that wasn't always true. An accomplished high school wrestler, he was 7th in the state last year, but during a match sophomore year, he suffered a serious nose injury, an injury that required surgery, but he said his insurance company, UnitedHealthcare, would not cover all of it.
And most of it had to have been paid out of pocket, and it was like thousands of dollars, and I had to say no to the surgery amongst, so now I just kind of have to live with it, and I'm just dealing with it now.
He's not alone. UnitedHealthcare's denial rate, according to the federal government, is at 33%. Blue Cross, Aetna, and Cigna's rate is about 10% lower. And the targeted murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson has unleashed a social media wave of grievances.
If you think that I didn't need anesthesia to have surgery,
we're fighting with the insurance company over her dialysis to keep her alive.
People are upset, people do bad things, and that's just, almost in a way a form of protest even.
UnitedHealthcare is huge in Florida. 3.1 million people covered, including Medicare and Medicaid. 247 hospitals, over 100,000 doctors. Complicating the crime, Thompson was under investigation for insider trading. The city of Hollywood's Firefighters Pension Fund is part of a class action lawsuit against Thompson and UnitedHealthcare to recover money lost when the stock fell.
As far as we know, no relationship to any of the sad news out of New York.
Yeah, so I want to talk about it because you have the cackling hands on The View blaming Trump and Republicans. It's the Republicans' fault for why this CEO got assassinated, right? Why people are upset with the system. It's the fault of Trump and Republicans, which is the argument here on The View. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
And I think it was shocking because it happened in Midtown where every one of us walked. It was the morning, we're all commuting into work. And then there is this manhunt afterward. I think there's a good sense of the motive, but we could learn more. It could be a red herring. But I, too, was so disturbed. I saw some prominent figures on the far left who were celebrating this. And we have lost our collective conscience.
How do you know that?
Because it's online. I'm not even going to amplify and say who, because it is ghoulish, it is disgusting, it is evil. If you want to affect change in this country...
Well, Taylor Lorenz, right? Just go ahead and name names, okay? If you're going to make statements like that, name names, okay? Taylor Lorenz, a lot of far leftists. But honestly, this is not a left-right issue. This is just an American issue, right? And let's be honest, there are people on both sides that are upset with this. Conservatives are upset with it. People on the left are upset with it. Everybody's upset with it, right? So I don't even think it's fair to try to make this out to be a leftist issue of them being upset, even though, hey, it's probably likely that the assassin was some type of radical leftist, right? And that leftists tend to be radicalized into committing acts of violence. So that's an angle that I could take in this video. But honestly, I just think that the outrage is just bipartisan, right? And, trying to make it a left-right issue, I think, is a disservice to the pain and suffering that people actually feel and how upset they are with the system.
It is a democracy. Organize, activate, get out and talk to people, talk to your congressman. Violence is absolutely never the answer. And to single out one individual because you have an issue with a company, a corporation, or an entire industry that's been fraught for decades.
And I would add, don't vote for Republicans because they want to overthrow Obamacare.
That's exactly
right. No interest at all.
Respectfully, we complain about our health care right now. We are living under Obamacare. Obamacare ain't perfect either. It actually created monopolies in the health care system.
But the thing is,
and it is increased the cost of health insurance, right? Premiums have went up significantly almost every year since Obamacare was implemented, right? Obamacare was supposed to bring down the cost of healthcare. That was, in theory, what was supposed to happen because of the expanded coverage for young people, right? That was supposed to happen. However, that's not what happened, okay? Actually, premiums went up, healthcare costs went up, and as you can see, tensions are boiling over to the point where you have stuff like this happening. But yet, if you listen to these clowns, they'll tell you, well, it's Republicans and Trump's fault because of they don't agree with Obamacare. And it's like, okay, well, if Obamacare was so great, then why is it that people are more upset than ever with the system? Again, it doesn't make sense. In fact, I'll argue that there is probably more outrage now with the system than it was before Obamacare. Right? So again, I mean, you can make the argument that Obamacare actually made it worse.
The only thing that's come closest to universal health care. Yeah. My fear also when I was reading about this story is that, we're going to have RFK Jr. responsible for Health and Human Services, who has a brain worm, but he's also, it's not just the brain worm.
Legal note, I think the worm is gone now.
No, I think it got encapsulated in his brain. I went down a rabbit hole on that. But
a wormhole, if you will.
Yeah, a wormhole, if you will. What I'm nervous about is if you read Project 2025, which is probably going to be the plan for healthcare, it's about privatization. It's about sort of getting rid of the at least limited amount of sort of universal healthcare that we have. And RFK Jr. really is more into holistic things. So I wonder, if you don't believe in conventional medicine, what kind of medical system are we going to have? If you're angry at what's happening now, I'm nervous about what could happen.
I'm with
Listen to this ignorance, bro. Listen to this ignorance. See, again, these people frustrate me so much because part of the reason why healthcare costs are so high in this country is because, one, I think some of it is a scam. And I'm going to tell you guys why I believe that in a few minutes, right, at the end of this video. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that, again, our country in general, we have a sick care system, right? Not a healthcare system. We don't have a preventative care system. We don't go out our way to help people not get sick in the first place, right? The profit motive is for people to get sick and then for people to take all these drugs, these medicines, to go to the doctor very often in order to always continuously be seeking healthcare. And that drives up demand for goods and services, right? Which drives up the price. Now, what RFK wants to do, he actually wants to flip that on his head. He actually wants to turn the American healthcare system into a preventative care system where people don't have to go to the doctor in the first place by improving the quality of people's food, helping them get less sick, helping the population have less chronic diseases and illnesses that necessitate going to the doctor and using the system in the first place, right? Which, again, if you had less people doing that, you had less sick people, then, again, theoretically, the cost is going to go down because the demand for services is going to go down, right? And that is essentially what RFK wants to do. And that's the thing about these leftists criticizing RFK as the head of human services that really leaves me scratching my head because I'm like, no. RFK is actually much closer to the left in their traditional position when it comes to big pharma, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to all of this stuff, right? But they just hate the guy because he's on Team Trump, right? When he's actually more aligned with the left than the status quo. I mean, even Bernie Sanders has came out and said, yeah, I actually might vote for RFK to lead the health and human services because I actually agree with him, specifically when it comes to the issues in our food, right? But again, you have a lot of leftists that are mocking RFK simply because he's backed by Trump. It's really kind of silly nonsense, right? And this is the reason why we can't come to solutions in this country because people just reflexively hate somebody simply because of their affiliation with Trump rather than the actual policy position. Because I don't think RFK has really changed when it comes to his positions on stuff like that. He actually has a position that, again, the left has had for years now up until the pandemic, but yet leftists are simply rejecting him. They're mocking him because of his affiliation with Trump. It's sad. It really is. Okay, it really is sad.
Boy, I think that if you wanted to make it seem like you were angry at an executive for the industry he's in, you would write those things on a bullet. And I think part of the reason that we're so riveted by it, I've been riveted, is because it's New York, right, where there's all of this surveillance. I mean,
18,000
he could have easily been killed in his home in Minnesota, and nobody would be paying attention. Yesterday, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which had announced that they were going to only cover anesthesia for X amount, and if the operation went overtime, they were not going to cover it. So let's say you were having an open heart surgery, and instead of it being for 4 hours, it was 6. They were going to cut off paying for anesthesia after 4 hours, which is ghoulish. Yeah. They reversed course on that announcement that they had made. So I think this has definitely shined the light on our health crisis, on the fact that we pay so much and get so little. It's not just the elderly, it's children who don't get approved for seizure medications. The elderly
just for this particular
children who don't get, no, it's actually,
it's even bigger?
There's a lot of things online, parents online who have said, my kid couldn't get approved for this chemo, or my kid couldn't get approved for this seizure medication. So I think there's a lot of frustration in this country. And, we have to have a national conversation. I think, if anything, it should bring that home to all of us.
Just on Tuesday, Representative Richard McCormick, a Republican from Georgia, said that hard decisions will need to be made on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid There's hundreds of billions of dollars to be saved. To be saved. We just have to have the stomach to take those challenges on.
Well, let's start with his.
I think that a lot of these people who voted for Trump and the Republican Party did not realize this was going to happen.
I do want to push back on that. I don't know who that representative is.
Richard McCormick from Georgia.
No, she don't know who he is.
You don't know him personally.
Yes, but
I do.
I actually think that most mainstream Republicans are raising alarm bells about the fact that Social Security will be bankrupt in 10 years if we don't have reforms. We've all paid into it. It is ours. It is not the government's. We own our Social Security. That's what it is. There are some really out there far righters who are like, slash it. We don't need it. It's entitlement.
Project 2025.
But Trump is not going to end Social Security. He said that repeatedly on the campaign trail.
Hope you're right.
And believe anything
he's not going to. He cares about the market. If the market crashes because we ended Social Security, Donald Trump's not going to end Social Security.
Yeah.
But Republicans have talked about health savings accounts, which I think are a huge step the right direction. As a child, you should get a tax-deductible ability to just save as much for your kids going into it. But we do have a broken healthcare system.
We have that.
What I wanted to say before I responded to that was this isn't just about the healthcare industry. There could be a copycat effect to any major CEO, to public personalities that people see, and they feel like they want to express their discontent. You express your discontent with words, with actions, with organizing, never with violence.
Well,
yeah. So you seen that, you heard that, okay? For some reason, they are trying to invoke Republicans and Trump in response to this assassination of this CEO, when they have absolutely nothing to do with this at all, right? They have absolutely nothing to do with it at all. But hey, this is par for the course when it comes to the spew. So with that being said, I want to tell this story about my own personal experience with UnitedHealthcare, because I have also experienced what I believe to be the scam of not just the insurance industry, but also the healthcare providers as well too. A few years ago, I went to the cardiologist to have a heart scan. Now, there's nothing serious going on, anything like that. It was just a little scare, right? So I had to have a heart scan, and it ended up costing $6,000. $6,000. Now, I was insured by UnitedHealthcare, but the medical provider mistakenly thought that I did not have insurance at all, even though I told them that I did have insurance and I gave them the information. For whatever reason, they billed me as a non-insured person. Now, the base cost was around $6,000 for the heart scan and all that stuff, right? They gave me a 50% discount, for being uninsured, right? And then it turns out that they found out I was insured, and then they got rid of the 50% discount and charged me a full $6,000. And UnitedHealthcare only covered like $200, if that. I think it was actually less than that. I was heated. I was pissed, okay? Because I work hard and I pay my insurance every single month, okay? Health insurance, thinking that, okay, when this type of stuff happens, I'm at least gonna get some coverage from my health insurance company. But no, they basically didn't cover any of it at all. And on top of that, I was punished by the cardiologist's office, by the healthcare group, for having insurance. They said, no, we're going to charge you more. We're literally going to charge you more because you have insurance. And I talked to the supervisor at the place about this scam, right? Like, why is it that I'm paying more because I'm insured rather than not having insurance? In which I basically argued to him that you're basically telling me that it's better for me to not have insurance, right? When I come see you guys, right, I'm better off not having insurance because you have a 50% discount for people who don't have insurance. And this guy basically told me that, yeah, we do that because it helps subsidize people who don't have insurance. Basically what they told you is that, yeah, you're paying insurance so that, and we're charging you more so that when people come in here who don't have insurance, we can charge them less, right? So basically you're punishing me for doing the right thing, for getting insurance, and for paying my fair share. I'm paying in, right? You're punishing me and you're charging me more, while people who are not paying in, who don't have health insurance. And again, I understand, everybody can't afford it, and I understand, I get all that, right? But I'm just saying, you're making me suffer so that you can give people who don't have health insurance a discount. And like I told the guy, what's the point of me having insurance, right? What's the point if you guys are giving 50% discounts to people who are not insured, but people who are insured, you're charging them full price? Now, I have some issues with United because they basically didn't cover much of it at all, but I have an actual bigger problem with the fact that it seems as if the pricing is arbitrary and that there's collusion between insurance companies and these so-called medical providers to charge people more simply because they have insurance. And then the insurance companies turn around and they don't really pay for any of the services that their clients are being charged more for, right? Again, it blew my mind. And it's one of those things where I said, okay, all right, well, my solution, my practical solution, hey, I'm a young man. I just need to make sure I live a healthy life, that I stay as healthy as possible. I fired UnitedHealthcare as my insurer because I was like, nah, this is unacceptable, right? Completely unacceptable. So I no longer use them anymore. And, you know, my approach is, listen, I'm just going to ride it out and take advantage of health savings accounts because of the tax benefits and stuff like that. But I'm basically less incentivized to go to the doctor. I'm like, nah, I'm going to try to be as healthy as possible. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to try to avoid having to go to the doctor in the first place. Therefore, I don't have to deal with this nonsense because this is ridiculous, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, I highly recommend health savings accounts, right? And, you know, trying to stay as healthy as possible, changing your lifestyle so that you avoid having to deal with this scam of a system that we currently have right now. And no, that does not mean that the solution is for the government to come in and just to be the single insurance provider. I think that the issues really are systemic, but I think it also has to do with the health of this country as a whole. It's a whole big thing that I think is extremely complicated. It's not an easy problem to solve. So as an individual, I'm just going to do what I can to best avoid having to deal with the system in the first place. And that's just my approach to it. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.